workspace collaboration, the rigid collaboration, but I think we narrowed it down to like workspace is what we're all about. Creating environments where you can collaborate more easily and more constructively. It's an evolving thing, collaboration, but especially in the environment of workspace. And workspace seems to be the most convenient word to use to be able to put together with collaboration. It seems to go together quite well. And with us this morning, we have three luminaries, if I may say so, of the AV industry. We've managed to tie up for the next 20 minutes. On my left is Duncan Peabody, who is a consultant, but I think you need a more lofty title than that, don't we?
Probably, yes.
Do you want me to give you any more title? Or is consultant just about right?
That's about it at the moment.
Okay, all right. To his left is a man with an amazing job title, which is Mr. Sid Stanley, who is General Manager Europe, Visual Solutions for Sharp. And the longer the job title, the more important you are. I mean, this is where I lack mine. I'm just editor, and I haven't got quite a lofty title.
You can call me Sid.
Yes, I will do.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I'll see how we go. And to his left at the end, who's an illustrious gentleman who's not feeling too well this morning, but he's been an absolute star being able to turn up, Richard Bowingdon, Head of Interactive Sales at Midwich. And thanks for staying with us anyway.
No worries, thank you.
Right, now then, collaboration. We're all sick and tired of the word, really, so I think we want to get some meaningful description of what on earth we're dealing with here. And has anybody got any kind of basic definition of what it is from a practical sense? What about you, Duncan? You're sensible in this area, aren't you?
Yes, there is a great emphasis on technology. Obviously, we're here at a technology show. But collaboration really is my definition is when people are working together, they don't necessarily know the outcome or how they're going to get to that outcome, so they have to interact. And as you rightly said earlier in the introduction, it's not just about the technology, it's the environment. It's the environment that they need to create at all stages of that. So it's not presentation. Presentation might be a part of it, but there's a huge amount of confusion around collaboration.
Enormous. I suppose it doesn't really help. I have no idea where the word came from, actually. It's where a collection of people sit together and just chat informally.
If you look in the dictionary, collaboration is just people working together.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Sid?
Yeah,
You're a chap who likes the definition, aren't you?
Yeah, I like a good collaborate. But that's a different story. I think for me, it's a cultural revolution in how organisations do stuff. And back in the day, they did stuff in a very top-down way. Presentations were very regimented. Classrooms were very, very, very dictatorial in the way that they communicated. But the millennials, the way that organisations work, the way they look to solve problems, the way they look to make decisions, they now recognise that from good decision, from good discussion, from quality debate, come great decisions. And that's the way that organisations now expect to work.
The thing is, though, before technology came along and companies were basic old companies without any IT or computers, we're not assuming that they didn't collaborate. The old fogies in offices and reams of people at desks. No. Did no one collaborate or work in a similar way, or is this something that technology has brought with it?
I guess from my point of view, collaboration has evolved as technology's evolved. We've always been collaborators. We've always worked together in groups, in one-to-one environments. But now what technology is doing is opening up new boundaries. And so as technology evolves and businesses evolve, people need to talk on a wider basis. So whether it's globally, whether it's nationally, collaboration and technology to help you collaborate basically means that people can share information to better outcomes. So a lot of businesses are trying to increase productivity, are trying to improve business efficiencies, and that's what technology in an environment where you can collaborate does for a business user today. That's how I see it.
Okay.
I was going to say, before that technology came in, and going back to the times you said, business was driven very hierarchically. So those discussions did happen, but since then it was top down, and the opportunity for people to voice different opinions and different suggestions wasn't there. So it is the culture that's changing as well as the technology.
But and I think the need for agility, the need for speed, the competitive pressures, you've got less people doing more things. And then when you bring the digital dynamic of content and knowledge, not just being on paper or in front of you, it's stored everywhere, and you're talking to people that are no longer in the office or sat next to you or in front of you. So that has created not only the culture of collaboration, but also a dynamic where the technology creates the opportunity, but also needs to solve the problem, is how do you get together to have that quality discussion with the right information available that can be shared and talked about. So it's been a convergence of a number of issues, I think, which has created this collaborative type dynamic.
Yeah, we hear a lot about agility. Sorry, we hear a lot about agility, don't we? And I think we now can't operate without technology, because the whole ability to allow us to work sensibly, quickly, and efficiently can't be done without technology. So it's almost like the modern communications, if you like. We're just calling it collaboration because the technology infrastructure needs to be there at the basic level just to enable the ordinary way a company works to actually happen, in a sense. And that seems to be a level lower than decision making, which is a completely separate ballgame, isn't it?
Well, that's what I was going to say. From a business point of view, who should be instigating the use of technology within the workspace? You know, is it the user? Is it the thought leaders, the decision makers, stakeholders? What point do you decide what technology is best to use within the environment to get the outcomes that you're looking for? And how are you sharing information? How are you communicating? So, from a business point of view, as all business leaders we are, whose responsibility is that within any workspace?
God knows. I have no idea. This is a nebulous bit of all this, isn't it?
No, but that dynamic has changed as well, because it's not that long ago when if you wanted to introduce some new technology and somebody was saying this is not going on our network or our infrastructure, then it didn't happen. And now that dynamic has changed from the providers to actual users who are saying that we need to use this technology for all the business outcomes and improvements that we're searching for.
So what's a collaborative technology then? It seems to be everything in the same pot.
From my point of view, there's a host of technologies, mate. There's not one collaborative technology. I think you need a lot of complementary products, technology platforms to create an environment, to create a technology-rich environment. But I don't think there's something you can just go and buy off the shelf to fit a specific business need, because you need to understand, as a stakeholder, the requirements of the business. You know, what are they actually trying to look? How is technology going to enhance their, whether it's profits, revenues? They're looking at market trends, being able to adapt to what the market's doing. So technology as a whole, it's all encompassing. I don't think there's one specific technology that will boast or lend itself more to the aid of collaboration over another.
Sorry, Sid, go on.
I mean, I think what organisations are looking for are engaged staff. You know, they need to engage their staff from a motivational point of view. They need to engage the brains and the problem-solving power of their staff. And that creates the environments where you need to bring all that together in a way which provides the tools for those meetings to happen in an effective way. And meetings need to be effective, meetings need to be engaged, and collaboration technologies, if they're leveraged well, should allow organisations to do that, to get the benefits from better meetings. So
And they need to be available right throughout the organisation. I think one of the problems with the early telepresence rooms that were put forward as collaborative rooms is that very few people got access to them because there weren't many of them because of the cost. So technology that is driving down the price, that allows it to go in lots of different environments, because people collaborate in different environments. There might be little huddle spaces, or a larger presentation room can still be a good collaborative environment if you've got technology that you can bring people into and as you say, engage them.
A consideration has to be the user adoption, because there are lots of technology or technically rich environments we go into. And I myself, I've been into a room and it's probably had the greatest AV/IT infrastructure, and I don't know how to use it. You know, there's a confidence that we have to provide to users to ensure that they can get the best out of it. Businesses need to see the ROI, because this isn't a cheap exercise to go out and install the right technology platforms to give you these better working environments. So, there's other considerations outside of that in terms of the user engagement. How do we actually use it? Can we turn it on? Does it work? How do we minimise downtime using that technology?
Because in the old days, when I first came into AV, the element of video conferencing was the first step into what we thought was a collaborative technology. It was thought to be IT, and it was months before we decided that we should be covering this in the AV space. Now we seem to have gone a bit further into other communications technologies that are plugged into it, really, into a much more, in a way, creating what we can loosely call a digital workplace, if you want to be crass about it. And that seemed to me where does the role of AV sit within that space? I mean, it's not just IT, is it? It's a software world that it's encroaching into, but you can't see the joint, can you?
Yeah, but, sorry, Duncan. I think for me, I think technology can often be the problem, not the solution. I think we've all been in those meeting spaces that are well equipped. It would take us 15 to 20 minutes to get the damn thing started. That's not a productivity saving, and I think we in the AV industry, if we are still the AV industry, but we in this industry are guilty of producing technologies which don't deliver the value they were intended to do because they're far too complicated to use. And that's our challenge. Technology needs to be a tool which the average technophobe can use to gain the benefit that it was designed to deliver. And there are still far too many technologies which don't gain the benefit. A classic would be interactive whiteboards. I mean, it's a great, simple, effective tool to create collaborative environments. But I think in most meeting rooms, they end up being basic displays which are not used because people are afraid of that technology, or it's too difficult to use, or it produces a poor user experience. And we in the AV industry need to do better. That's our job, I think, or one of our jobs.
Better in education. I must have we've seen this education. I mean, Duncan, education's leading business by a couple of years at least, what they're doing. And so why isn't this being used in business? And I thought we can stick a screen up, but no one's going to know how to use it. It seemed crazy to me. Then they came in, we got Surface Pro and God knows what else, and you've got the impression that business has been a bit late all the way along here, considering what education is doing and how experience has become.
Yeah, I was just going to come back to your previous point, actually, about whether it's IT or AV. And the IT element is allowing the collaboration to take place over a greater distance, but AV is still crucial because everything we're trying to share together in those collaborative processes is all highly visual. And coming back again to your interactive whiteboard experience in schools, I mean, the dynamic was different. The teacher was in that schoolroom 9 o'clock till 4 o'clock, using it every day, having a great experience. As business people, we come into that room once in a while, we don't have the training, it's not in our human nature to turn our back on the audience we're talking to, which is what you do with the whiteboard. So things like Surface Pro and Surface Pro books and all the interactive things allow us to have those engagements while we're looking at who we're working with and using our own digital devices.
Because this is where IT hopefully should come in, with that infrastructure, it's sort of in place, it'll be sort of thinking an infrastructure, won't it? So we just walk into it and AV will be almost invisible in a sense. It'll just work, That's what we desperately want, I think, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think so. I think we've seen a lot of IT integrators move into the AV space. They work alongside your traditional AV integrators, but I do see now a lot of the AV integrators starting to cross skill and understand network and infrastructure. But going back to one of your points about educating the actual user of the technology, the bit I'm not sure about is where that should come from. Should it come more from the manufacturer, like SID? Should it come from Sharp downwards in terms of educating the distribution channel, the reseller channel, and then the actual end user? Or should we be looking at user adoption programs more widely through the channel integrators, whether AV or IT, they're actually deploying such solutions within the environments we're talking about?
For me, AV and IT are out-of-dated terms. I don't think any of the major audio-visual integrators would consider themselves audio-visual anymore. The boundaries have broken down. The world is a different world now. But for me, this ease of use factor, what I expect to see is environments where we just start talking to our technology. We're talking to our smartphones, we're talking to our laptop, Google Assistant, Siri, whatever it is, and then it just does stuff for you. And actually, that's the environment that we need to walk into in the business environment. You walk into the place and you turn it on and you download the content and you get the thing moving by talking to it. And for me, will be the next technology revolution for devices in rooms. You just talk to it and it will work.
Well, I do wonder, before we get to that stage, just how complex requirements analysis has to be. I know Midwich, you're starting to do a bit of that, aren't you, by putting product sets together and communicating to users and providing with expertise. And clearly, the vendors are looking to sell combinations of the right products. So there's a bit of pre-thinking going on. It's not. We've just done our first user requirements article in a magazine. We've never done one before. And it was a combination of the consultancy approach, how they look at what should be happening, and how user requirements are actually evaluated by the AV managers themselves when they've installed technology. How successful has it been? How it's been used? Is it being used in a different way? All that sort of stuff. It seems to be happening in patches all the way through, but there's been no what I would call a methodology, in a way as there is in education with.
There is more methodology there, yeah.
With JISC, for example, that sort of
absolutely.
stuff.
No, and Richard's right. In the corporate world, there is too much emphasis on just putting the technology in. And there was a Gartner report, I think, a year ago, that where those projects in the corporate space, they're all termed as collaborative projects, are put in, and the emphasis is technology, and there's not enough planning, and there's not enough user adoption training, then I think it's something like 76% of them fail. They don't become adoptive within the business.
I think Midwich, we've had to adapt our sales approach. We're obviously an audio-visual distributor, and we work with and represent a number of brands. But what we are in a position to do is look at best-of-breed solutions, proof of concept, to actually go out and start to talk to the reseller channel and ultimately engage their end users to understand what it is they're using, why they're using it, and the outcomes they want. So we are in a good position as technologists, I guess, for a multi-number of brands and different working solutions. So, we recognise this, and we want to try and educate our resellers with possible solutions, but we don't know if they're right because we are that one step removed. So it needs to be a joined-up approach, I think, from both the vendors and the actual reseller integrators as well.
It's happened in IT, hasn't it? It's gotten solution focused, and all the major the tin manufacturers have all gone into consultancy and solutions, haven't they? In a sense, I can see that coming because AV has not been traditionally a software world, has it? It's been sort of cables and plug-in.
Yeah, no, but sorry, Doug. I think what customers are looking for is the customers are not looking for devices. We are guilty of selling devices. Because that's the way that we're orientated as business people. But actually, if you look at the typical boardroom, the device needs to be the endpoint in a workflow. How does the document get onto the web? How does the document then get shared, printed, displayed, annotated, restored, reshared? I mean, that's a completely different workflow than a presentation, and that's collaboration. But it's not just about the meeting room; it's about the workflow and the way that organisation creates content, annotates on that content, evolves that content, decides around that content, and then moves it around within the organisation. And that's, I think what Microsoft have done, God bless their cotton socks, with the Surface Hub, have validated audiovisual as a tool and a device which is a genuine business-critical, mission-critical part of the way that organisations collaborate and make decisions. And we as the AV industry, are quite lucky to be part of that. There's a great opportunity for all of us.
It seems to have given the AV industry a bit of a boost, doesn't it? Because the number of solutions that are being brought in to compete with it has really buoyed the market, I think. Obviously, they're cheaper, as you would expect. But some quite innovative solutions have come our way now because of that introduction, probably, haven't they?
Yeah, I think it's been absolutely great. The way that Microsoft and the Surface Hub, it's opened up touch technology to the corporate market. Within the UK, it's fair to say the UK corporate market has been slow to adopt touch technologies within any type of working environment. But what it has done is it's let people like Google, Cisco, all of the big brands are now coming to the market with endpoints, which are really, for them, they're just a vehicle. They're just something that shares information. They're a vehicle that allows the users to have access to their different software applications. But it has really given specifically for me, the interactive market, a new impetus that touch technology is here, it's being used. Education, it's been here for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years. It's a volume market that's already done. The corporate space, though, the leading brands are helping us, they're helping Sharp, and it's a good place to be right now. The AV market should be looking at it seriously.
Yeah, the education brands just haven't crossed over into the corporate marketplace, and Microsoft have brought that gravitas to it that everybody's now looking at. It's
interesting. I think it's just down to analysing what the essence is of your company. I mean, remember, interviewing Royal Mail some years ago, he said, what do you do? It's all we're in distribution. No one once said, we're delivering letters from A to B, Or, it's that essential thing of what you are. In Google, it's creating innovation and making people more productive. They're not producing a product, although that's what they are. They're focusing on reanalyzing what their core strengths are and creating an environment around that supports that. I think that's quite a sophisticated rethink of what the business is. Whether everybody can do that, that's going to lead to a more effective use of technology. From my point of view, I thought, if you're collaborating, you're not necessarily making good decisions. That's a separate process. So are we going towards that process of making decisions, or is that still a separate thing altogether which has to come with different technology?
If when it comes to decision making, if you're collaborating, are you not speeding up the decision making process so you can pull all of the key decision makers, stakeholders into a room, or not into a room, sorry, multiple locations, and you can share whatever it is you're looking to talk about? And so, for me personally, it would actually speed up the decision making process.
Well, that's basic enablement, isn't it? Really, you're enabling people to do basic things, but there's a gap between there and actually leading it to an effective decision, which is what justifies the technology spend in the first place, I suppose.
Yeah,
Being cynical.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but if anyone has experienced a decent meeting room where, you know,
No.
10, well, you know, come and see me later, Clive. You know,
Sadly not.
where you've got, you know, 10, 15 people, all with a device, all with content, who have the ability to instantly share that on the main display and talk about it. That never happened in the past. You know, and therefore the richness of the discussion and the quality of the discussion backed by data and content which can be immediately shared and immediately discussed and annotated and stored around and talked on and blah, blah, blah. That couldn't happen before. And that does enrich the decision. That does enrich the discussion. Now, we need to leave the human beings to pop the ball in the back of the net. But we in the AV industry can, should and will empower that. And we're lucky, and I'll tell you why we're lucky, right? We're lucky because we have a great channel around us who take the devices and the boxes and connect them together to great solutions. You know, the AV channel in most of the major countries has moved into a fantastic place, you know, driven by organizations and consultants and manufacturers. But actually it's the channel for me which glue the stuff together to provide the solution, not the device. And you know, we have some fantastic partners doing that all around Europe.
Well, almost, you know, like the IC show, it's the biggest show we've ever seen of it, but it's full of product. There's no real solution or the creation of something that AV does so well, like big experiences or walkthroughs or scapes or whatever they may be. You walk around, it's just a circuit of lots of different products. They seem to have missed a trick in a sense, where you, especially, you know, some of the big stands which have these amazing arrays of good technologies in their sets, they could really have inspired people more than they are doing. Hopefully that might come. It's probably a brave thing because it's a big gulf between getting away from a major product side. You've got to shift revenue to that solution, almost creation of things that really will enable people, inspire them to create those environments.
Yeah, I was going to say the connectivity and the visual ability does help, but it still comes down to people and culture. If you've got people in a room collaborating, but at the end of the day somebody's still going to impose their view hierarchically on it, then that's down to the culture of the business, that all the technology isn't going to change that.
No.
But these technologies are helping the culture to change by engaging the right people, attracting the right people into businesses who appear to be forward-thinking and wanting to do the right things.
And the young people like me.
Young people like
you know,
you,
yeah,
yes,
young people like me. You know, you know, you guys maybe have done it, but we expect to work that way. You know, we have been brought up in environments where we've got 4 or 5 devices in our classroom, and you know, we're taking content and input or from all other places. That's the way the millennials expect to work, and that's the way that the classroom needs to work. That's the way the meeting room needs to work, or the huddle space. And you know, if we don't do that, companies will not attract and retain talent. They'll not have competitive edge by making the good decisions, because everything else is just one-dimensional. You know, we did a survey. You know, we interviewed thousands of people, and even now, with all of the great work we've done, what those end users told us is that meetings are still not very interesting. The technology still takes too long to start up. But the meeting is boring. You know, so there's still much to do. So that's not a problem. That's a great opportunity.
The thing is, there are 2 elements. You know, we know the younger generation do like themselves to be spoon-fed. They're not interested where stuff comes. They expect a great experience. One could argue they ought to make it more interesting by being more productive, coming up with better ideas to make the whole thing. You don't need technology to do that. So there is an element of laziness in the way they approach stuff, really. But other than that, we are seeing, actually, an element of personal technology entering the workplace. Is professional technologies like IT and AV going to start to mimic the way we use the more personal elements of technology as they come in? Are they going to bring their home into the workplace and expect the workplace to work as it does in their other environments. Is that a little bit over-exaggeration, or do you think that might come?
No, it's absolutely happening.
Is it?
You have got that convergence, yes. And again, there's research out there that shows where employees are allowed to bring personal devices in or can use business devices in a personal way, so you've got that crossover. Again, it's attracting people because it's the way they want to work. Who wants to carry 3 devices around if you can just carry one and do everything productively?
But in education, they're not IT literate, they're more social media literate, so they'll download a PDF, but they won't download Adobe to play the damn thing, will they? It's that there seems to be that disconnect, which makes the provision of these sort of services over those sort of quite difficult. You're not operating in a traditional IT way, yet you've got to use IT and infrastructure to support that. Not easy thing to manage.
It's not easy, but it is definitely happening, because again, you come back to the network management a few years ago. Personal devices just could not go on corporate networks,
No.
and now pretty much they can.
We're already seeing it in our environment. Consumerisation is, take education, bring your own device. That's been around for a number of years. In our workspace now, we have mobile devices. I use it personally. I use it out when I'm seeing customers. It's already happening. I guess what it needs to do is just ensure that you're not, it's not having an impact on your ability to use the technology in a way that will allow access to learning content or business material, or I've lost the train of thought where I was going with it, but in essence it's here. We are using it. We use it day to day in our daily work life, so it's very much part and parcel of what we do.
Good. Gentlemen, thank you very much. I think we've gone beyond our allotted time, but these things could run on, can't they? Duncan, Sid, and Richard, thank you very much for joining us. Our next session will be about afternoon, if I get my words out, about 2 p.m, and we're looking at audio.